So I've now been living out of this self-built truck camper for a little over a month full-time, and the Anker SOLIX C1000 is my portable power station that I have in here. So in this video I want to just talk a little bit about what it's been like using that and putting it to the test and how it's performed. I also want to add an expansion battery that Anker recently sent me as well, so I'll be getting that unboxed, set up, and installed at the second half of this video. I've technically had this thing for, I think, a little over 6 months. I'm calling it a 6-month review. It's been a little bit longer than that. But like I said, I've been putting it to the test rigorously every single day while living out of this truck camper for the past month. I also used it in my previous camper setup. I just had that little truck cap shell on here, and I used it for multiple different trips, and it powered those adventures as well. So the C1000 has, I think, just over a 1,000 watt-hour capacity, and to this point that has been more than enough to provide what I need. Now, we're not quite in the hottest time of the year here in Florida, but it is starting to get pretty hot, and I'm definitely using this thing quite a bit. I'm putting it to the test. I mean, I sit here in this exact setup that I'm sitting in with my computer in the desk, and I'm editing video all day during the workday for my job. And then in addition to that, during the hottest part of the day, I'm also running this small 5,000 BTU air conditioning unit off of the C1000. So I'm in here running an AC and running a video editing laptop at the same time, and I haven't really had any issues. And then in addition to that, I also have a small 12 volt system in here with a 12 volt fridge, and then this 12 volt fan, and these lights as well. So I'm kind of pulling quite a bit of power, and it's working out very well. Now, as it gets hotter, it's going to be really nice to have that expansion battery, which I'm looking forward to getting set up in just a few minutes here, because then I'll be able to run this air conditioner even after the sun has gone down for a couple of hours to cool things off throughout the night, maybe right before I go to bed. As some of you guys might know, I, for some reason, weirdly get a lot of energy late in the day. Like 11 p.m. I'll be in here and I'll be editing, sometimes even up to midnight or 1 a.m. and that pushes this battery down. And I still haven't had any issues where I've woke up the next morning and had this thing be completely drained. The lowest I've got it is maybe to 30 or 25%. The solar that I have on the roof, it can take up to 600 watts. At the moment I have 450, and I'm hoping to expand that very shortly. So that's been more than enough though to get this thing fully charged up. And before recording this video, I was kind of trying to think of problems that I have and complaints that I have about this solar power station, and I genuinely cannot think of any issues. Having used it now rigorously for the past month, and then also on various trips before this, like, there's not really a whole lot that I can complain about. I've owned a number of these portable power stations over the past so many years, quite a few of them, and tested them out, and there have been issues with all the other ones that I've owned, but this one, hands down, is the best one that I've had. It is fantastic, and I'm so happy that I didn't waste time building a system from scratch for this camper. This was so plug and play. Just plugged my solar panels into it and I was good to go. Plugged my 12 volt system that I wired into it, and no issues. I can't really think of complaints. I can think of things that I really love about it. I love that there are 6 AC outlets on the front for the inverter. I can just plug in whatever I need to, whether it's the laptop or the air conditioner or whatever, and it's super easy, very well designed. I love, even more than the AC outlets, I love that there are USB outlets on here. So there's 2 USB-A and 2 USB-C outlets, and I literally use those all day, every day. Between my phone and my tablet and my camera batteries and my mobile hotspot that I use to connect to the internet, and then my USB powered fan, which is probably the most important thing that I own. I have this little cheap USB powered fan that I set up right here, and then when I go to sleep I'm able to just keep it on. Keeps me cool throughout the night, allows me to sleep in here even on these hot Florida nights. I also love that it's pretty lightweight. It's under 30 pounds, and if I got into a bind, I did this once when I was in the truck cap setup. It was pretty cloudy for quite a few days, and I was moving a lot, and the thing started to get pretty low, the Solix. So what I did is I was able to just kind of take the thing and put it in a duffel bag, and I walked into a coffee shop, and I was able to fully recharge it from empty to full in less than an hour. It has an ultra-fast AC charging option with a standard wall outlet. You can just plug it in and it'll charge up all the way. It's pretty cool, like being able to do that, to have that flexibility if you do get into a bind where there's just no sun coming out for 3 or 4 days straight somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. It's pretty nice to be able to do that. There's just a lot of things that are really well thought out and well engineered. The smartphone app is another example of something like that. Like when I first found out about the app, I was like, you know, I'm not going to use an app for a power station. Like, that seems kind of crazy. But as it turns out, I do find myself using it from time to time. It's really nice to be able to check on the status of this thing when I'm sitting in the cab of the truck, or if I'm outside. Heck, even if I'm sitting in bed and I don't want to climb underneath and actually press the screen and look at it and get a gauge for what's going on, I can just use the app to monitor it. And then you can also control a bunch of stuff from the app as well. I'm not personally an engineer. I'm not the guy that's going to go in and cut the top off of this thing and tell you exactly what grade lithium cells are in there and all that sort of thing. All that I can tell you is just how it's performing for me in real life situations as I'm using this. And this thing is powering my entire life. It has literally powered everything that I've done for the past month without issues. I installed the shore power outlet on this camper. I have not had to use it one time to this point. And obviously that might change as it starts to get unbearably hot and humid into the middle and later part of the summer here in Florida. But to this point, this Anker SOLIX has outperformed any expectation that I could possibly have. It has been amazing. Freaking monstrosity. So it seems pretty cool so far. I will say this, this charging cord is pretty enormous. I might have a hard time fitting this. We'll see if we can get it to work. Whew! It just barely fits like that. Talk about plug and play. I guess I did find something to complain about though. That cable that connects the expansion battery to the C1000 is pretty enormous. And I did see a few reviews that mentioned that, but I even underestimated how big it was going to be. Like, it sticks out pretty substantially into my living space the way that I have it set up. I will probably be rearranging this area underneath the bed. I want to build some sort of storage solution, and I want to add some additional cabinets in here as well to try to free up this space a little. It's not really very well organized, but that's just part of living in here, and I guess just trial and error trying to figure out what the best way to set things up is. And when I do that though, I'll try to figure out a way to get this big old cable out of the area where my feet go when I'm sitting at my desk. But other than that, it's pretty awesome to be able to double the capacity instantly like that. Just plug in an extra battery and suddenly I have 2100 watt hours of usable capacity. I will keep you guys posted on how the expansion battery works out and how it's performing over the upcoming months as I'm using it. I do think it's definitely going to make things a little bit better for me though, being able to run the air conditioner later into the evening and maybe even for a good portion of the night as it starts to get hotter here in Florida. I do have a link that you guys can follow. I'm going to put a link in the description below if you're interested in checking out any of the Anker products like the C1000 or the expansion battery. A huge thank you to Anker for working with me on this video, and I look forward to making some other videos in the near future here about what it's been like living in this truck camper so far, and then some of the adventures that I'm going to have on the road into the future. I'll talk to you all again soon.